We're doing lesson 1.1, adding integers, and we're reviewing what we did. So for our first slide here, this is just a summary of the rules that we talked about in lesson 1.2. So when you have the same signs, you're going to find the sum, and the words same and sum both start with an S and they sound very similar. So that's one way you can use to help you remember that. Same signs, find the sum. Two positives, two negatives, you're adding the numbers the way you normally would. And then if you have negatives, your answer is going to be negative. If you have different signs, you find the difference. Different and difference sound very similar, they're underlined. And that's to help you remember when you have one positive and one negative, you're actually going to be subtracting those values. Then use the sign of the number with the greater absolute value, which means the number you have more of. So if you have more negatives, answer's negative. More positive, answer's positive. Okay, so let's look at some problems. We have an example up here. -2 plus -3 equals -5. Okay, so we're adding 2 plus 3 just like we normally would, and then it's 5, but it's negative because we're only adding negatives. And then here I have 4 plus 5 equals 9. So that's the same as it's always been, just adding positives, positive answer. Okay, so go ahead and pause and try these problems. Okay, let's check our answers. So for the first one here, I have -4 plus -8. Same signs, find the sum. So I'm just going to add. That is going to give me a -12. For the next one, -11 plus -5. Same signs. We're going to find the sum. Again, I have two negatives, so I'm going to have a negative answer. That one's going to be -16. Number 3, 9 plus 16. Same signs, find the sum. Those are positive numbers. We're adding the same way we always have. That's going to give us an answer of 25. If it's helpful for you for ones with 2 digits in it to rewrite them vertically, you certainly can. So that would look like this: 16 plus 9 and add 15, carry the 1, 2. Okay, and then for number 4 here, -7 plus -6, that's going to be -13. 7 plus 6 is 13. Two negative numbers, negative answer. And then number 5, 12 plus 18, that's going to give us a positive 30. All right, so let's take a look at some problems that have different signs. So we have two examples up here. 2 plus -3 equals -1. -4 plus +7 equals 3. For both of these, we're subtracting. 3 minus 2, and we're going to start with the number that has that you have more of, has bigger absolute value. 3 minus 2 is 1. More negatives, answer's negative. 7 minus 4 is 3. More positives, answer positive. It doesn't really matter if a negative comes first or a negative comes second. You're using the sign for what you have more of. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try these next 4 problems. Okay, let's check our answers. So for number 6, 4 plus -8. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then I need to look at my signs. I have more negatives, so my answer is negative. So that one's going to be a -4. On this next one, I have 11 plus -5. 11 minus 5 is 6. More positives, answer is positive. On this next one, -9 plus +16. Different signs, find the difference. So 16 minus 9, that's going to give me 7. And then, let's see, I have more positives, so my answer is going to be a positive 7. And then on number 9, I have 7 plus -6. 7 minus 6 is 1. More positives, answer is positive. And then here, it's just a reminder, make sure to use the number, the sign of the number with the greater absolute value when you have different signs. All right, so here we have a number line to illustrate our sum. Some people like to think about adding with integers with number chips, integer chips, like we looked in our last lesson, and some people prefer to look at it with number lines. So I'm showing the number line here just as an option for people that like that. So when we add with a number line, we go towards that side. So what I mean by that is for this first one, I have -7 plus -4. So on my number line, the left side represents negatives and the right side represents positives. See how we start over here with the negatives. Whoa, negative 14 moving into the positives. Okay, so you always start addition problems at 0. Negative 7 means we move 7 spaces over towards the negative side. That's there. And then plus negative 4 means we're moving 4 more spaces towards the negative side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we look to see where we end up. So here was our steps. We moved left 7 units. And then we moved left 4 more units. So when we ended up right here at negative 11. All right, our next problem here has different signs. Negative 12 plus 19. Our negatives, remember, on the left, our positives are over here on the right. Different signs, we're finding the difference, but you can see that with the number line because they're going to go different directions. So the first one, negative 12, we're starting at 0. I'll record that down here. So we always start at 0 for number line problems. We're adding negative 12, so we're going 12 units to the left. So we're moving left 12 units. And then we need to go 19 units towards the right. So going to the right 12 takes us back to 0. And then we have to keep going until we have a total of 19 units that we've moved. That's going to end up at 7. So we're moving to the right 19 units. Negative 12 plus 19 equals a positive 7. All right, let's take a look at our next one here. So here we're finding the sum, and we don't have a number line. Negative 4 plus positive 8. So the first thing we need to decide, are the signs the same or are the signs different? And on this one, the signs are different. We have different signs. Different signs, remember, we're going to find the difference. Different signs, find the difference. And we're finding the difference of the absolute values. We're thinking of them as positive numbers, and then we are subtracting. Okay, absolute values. So we're thinking 8 minus 4 equals 4. So 4 is the number part of our answer, and then we need to think about, is it positive or negative? So I have 8 positives, 4 negatives. More positives, answer's positive. So we're using the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. Absolute value. All right, let's take a look at a few more problems. Go ahead and pause the video and try these ones on your own. Okay, let's check our answers. So for this one, 8 plus 2, those are positive answers. Same sign, find the sum. 8 plus 2 is 10. On this next one, negative 5 plus negative 3. Same signs, find the sum. 5 plus 3 is 8. Both of those are negative numbers. Yikes, that wasn't very neat. Let me erase it. That one's going to be a negative 8. I'm going to rewrite it here so it looks a little nicer for you. Negative 8. There we go. All right. Next one, 15 plus 22. Now, I've got 2-digit numbers here. I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite that one vertically so that my place values line up. Depending on the numbers, you may or may not have to do that. Same signs, I'm finding the sum. 2 plus 5, that's 7. 2 plus 1, that's going to be 3. So my answer on this one is going to be 37. And then here, same signs, find the sum. Negative 14 plus negative 26. Again, I'm going to go over to the side. I'm going to write my negative 26 on top. It's always a good habit to get into for when we go to subtraction. Just write the one with the greater absolute value on the top. All right, 6 plus 4, that's 10. I'm going to carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus another 1 is 4. Adding 2 negatives, answer is negative. So negative 14 plus 26, that's going to give me an answer of negative 40. All right, and then when adding integers with the same sign, what do we do? You find the sum. Same sign, find the sum. All right, let's see. Here are some different sign problems to try. Go ahead and pause the video and try them. All right, let's check our answers. So for this first one here, 17 plus -7. 17 minus 7 is 10. We have more positives, so the answer is positive. 64 plus -12. Different signs, find the difference. So 64 minus 12, now let's see, these are two two-digit numbers. So I think I'm going to just rewrite it over here before I do it. Different signs, find the difference. So I'm writing this as a subtraction problem. The one I have more of is going on the top. 4 minus 2 is 2. 6 minus 1 is 5. So I have 52. And then, of course, I need to think about my sign. I have 12 negatives, 64 positives. More positive, answers positive. All right, -35 plus 27. So I'm going to do this one over here. -35 plus 27. Different signs, find the difference. Now in this one, I happen to write minus. In this one, I wrote the signs here. It doesn't really matter. I could imagine, actually, I'll erase it here for you, just to make it more clear exactly what we're doing. We are subtracting, even though it says plus there, because we have different signs, we're subtracting. 35 minus 7. Okay, 5 minus 7 takes us into the negatives. So I've got to borrow. That 3 becomes a 2. This 5 becomes a 15. Now I'm ready to subtract. 15 minus 7 is going to be 8. 2 minus 2 is 0. So I'm going to come back over here to write my 8. More negatives, answer's negative. Don't forget to go back to the original problem and double check your sign. Okay, -9 plus 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. More positives, answer is positive. 6 plus -6, those are additive inverses. They're going to equal 0. When we add integers with different signs, we find the difference. Different signs, find the difference. And then, I'm going to write it under here instead of trying to squeeze it on the line. We use the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. Okay. Great, so different signs, find the difference, use the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. Okay, let's take a look at a story problem. The jazz band's income from bake sale is $286. Expenses were $21. Use integer addition to find the band's total profit or loss. Profit means the band made money, and loss means the band lost money. All right, so we are going to use a negative number to represent the expenses. When you're paying money to buy things for your bake sale, that's an expense, and that's like a negative number. Okay, different signs, find the difference. So really we're subtracting 286 minus 21. So we're going to find the difference. All right, I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to do it over here where I have a little more space. Line up this place values. 286 minus 21. 6 minus 1 is 5. 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 0 is 2. So I have 265. All right, and going back to my original problem, they had 286 positives, 21 negatives. More positives, answer's positive. Okay, so our answer is positive, which is good. That means they made money instead of lost money. And then story problems always need a label, so that label is going to be the dollar sign that they included here. The band's profit was $265. All right, let's take a look at a couple more story problems. So here's one. It says Sage has a hot dog stand. Last week, he spent $13 for hot dogs and supplies. He earned $25. What was his profit? Okay, so we are going to go through and we're going to decide which ones are positives and which ones are negatives before we add them together. So he spent, that's going to be a negative value, spent $13. And then he earned $25, that's what we want. So we're going to add a positive 25. Okay, so I have negative 13 for his expenses. I have the $25 that he earned. And then it says, what was his profit? So how much money did he earn? Go ahead and pause the video and try this one. Okay, let's check your answers. So I'm going to rewrite this vertically. 25 is my number with the greater absolute value. And I have different signs, so I'm going to find the difference. 25 minus 13. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. I had more positives. My answer is going to be positive. And story problems always need a label. So what was the profit? The profit was $12. Okay, this is our last one. This week, Sage spent $30 for hot dogs and supplies. He earned $18. Did he make money or lose money this week? And explain. Make sure when you see problems like this that say explain, that you actually take the time to write an explanation. All right, this week, Sage spent $30. That's going to be a negative 30. That's how much money he had to pay to do that. And then he earned $18. That's going to be a positive money amount because that's what he's getting paid. That's a plus. Okay, so here's the problem. Negative 30. Okay, plus a positive 18. Okay, go ahead and finish this problem. Pause the video. Finish the problem. Okay, well, let's check our answers. So different signs, we're finding the difference again. I'm going to write 30 minus 18. One with the greater absolute value always goes on the top. Okay, so I need to do some borrowing here. I'm going to change that 3 to a 2 and change my 0 to a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, so I have 12. I need to go back to my original problem to decide if it's positive or negative. I had 30 negatives and I had 18 positives. So I'm going to have a negative 12 as an answer. And I need that label of dollar signs. You can put the dollar sign before the negative, which is how I have it here. Or you can put the negative and then the dollar sign, either way. Okay, I don't want to forget about this explain part. So did he make money or lose money this week? He lost, because it's a negative number. Negative $12. Because he spent more than he earned. That's what made it be a loss. So he spent more than he earned. All right. And that's the end of our review.